Hello. Hope everybody's doing well today. These days are all running together. Tuesday, about to be Wednesday, because I'm doing this late at night. Today we hit a milestone in the United States with over 150,000 deaths due to coronavirus. Over 4.5 million people have tested positive in this country. In Dallas County, we've gone over the 40,000 mark. I think it's close to 42,000, and our numbers keep going up and down every day. So obviously, it's still not under control. But I was just looking at the amount of cases we've had in Dallas County alone, and if we were a country, just Dallas County, we've had more cases than Switzerland, the entire country of Switzerland, more cases in Dallas County than the entire country of Japan, more than Azerbaijan. I mean, there's a lot of countries that don't have it as bad as just Dallas County. And more than Ireland. It's just shocking how this disease has just taken hold in this country. And it's interesting because, I made a video yesterday where I was thinking about where could I go on vacation in the fall, because I usually take a fall vacation, end of September, usually mid to late September. And of course, I don't want to go to another city because, like New Orleans is having their own massive outbreak there. And so I was looking at, going to national parks that are, some of them are partially opened or reopened, but they don't offer all the services, which is fine because I'm good at camping. I can take the dog with me. But it was interesting because I was reading about Big Bend. That one national park is closed. And I was talking to my friend Larry, and we've both been there. We went on a vacation there once. And if you've never been to Big Bend, it's this enormous park. It's one of the larger national parks. It's all wilderness. And the thought that they closed the entire park down, and the reason they closed the park down is because, unlike some of the other national parks, the rangers that work there have had an outbreak of COVID. So they've had to shut down the park because of the staff there at the park not being able to open up the basic services. But it is kind of a wild concept to think Big Bend with its, literally hundreds of miles of roads in it because it's that large. These vast wilderness areas, and the park is closed. Wow. Because there's nobody to staff it because the staff is sick or it's spreading through the staff. Reflecting now that these numbers have gotten so high, the fault lies in the way this administration mishandled the case. Coronavirus is going to be a problem regardless. But the severity of the problem in the United States really is an indication of this mentality of this American independence that everybody can do what they want. And the fact is, as a nation, you can't do that. It's a collective effort. If anything, it shows us the flaw in the American system because of the selfishness. Americans are very selfish, and we're known worldwide for being very selfish. The me first attitude, well, it's good for competition in business. When it comes to social issues and ills, this virus really highlighted that our American mentality, this concept that we have of individualism as being something worth praising, is really a big flaw because the collectivism will make us succeed. It isn't the individual. We collectively can succeed. And it shows why United States is not a leader in the world anymore. Yes, in some aspects in science and technology, probably so, and some in innovation. But I would much rather be in Europe, where there is this mentality of collectively we will do so, because look at just the numbers. And I remember years ago going to Canada and seeing how more advanced they were than the United States, how the United States just somehow they're just lost its leadership position. It's an economic powerhouse because of the size of the country and the wealth in this country, with the not the general population, but the wealth meaning people that have money that can do commerce. Um, but it goes to show how this American dream that we're the best, unfortunately, is a big fat lie. It's a delusion we have. And COVID-19 has exposed it to us and to the rest of the world. The fact that there's still people debating the masks, the fact that the president is touting hydroxychloroquine, which has now so demonstrably been proven to actually be harmful for a lot of people. In a very few settings might it possibly work when the patient has no other option, but he's still promoting that lie, while also at the same time telling us it's going to get worse, but not having a plan as to how to control it, or what to do to mitigate it, or what to do to lower the numbers. And this every man for himself attitude does not work, because what we've seen is that it's just now 41 of the 50 states has rising numbers. It was used to be, it's just those blue states, Washington, New York, and California had the problem. All of a sudden, it's all the red states that had the problem. But the president isn't saying anything about that because he's trying to make it political. And unfortunately, he's losing. And he's causing the death of a lot of people because there's no excuse why there's a shortage in tests right now in certain parts of the country. This is costing human lives. And it impacts our daily life. They're looking at, the unemployment insurance, which I never was able to quite secure because of the freaking red tape in Texas. I'm still fighting it after all these weeks. Still haven't gotten a cent because it's impossible to get through. It's a lost cause for me, but it's expiring, right? But a lot of people say, oh, well, people were getting $600 a week, which is more than what they earned. And that's unfair, which really highlights how underpaid the American worker is, because $600 a week, if it was a 40-hour job, ends up being $15 an hour. And Republicans are screaming, well, people don't want to go back to work because they're making more money on unemployment. That means and people at $600 a week are struggling, so it's not like they're living comfortably at $600 a week. But that goes to show you how underpaid the average American worker is when the Republicans are all concerned that, they're getting paid too much. So they'd rather take it away to force people then to risk their lives for an underpaying job. Because that's basically what they're doing. They're saying that people don't want to work because they're getting $600 a week. So we're going to take it away. We're going to force them now to go back to work and get underpaid and spread the disease more because they're forced to go back to work. First of all, I don't think there's that many. I know most people want to go back to work. I don't think there's actually that many that are refusing jobs because everybody wants to work. But it's a weird mentality, isn't it, if you think about it? Let's force people to go work and get infected, spread this disease, and make it worse. And the cost, the medical costs, the hospitals are, somebody my mother knows has been in the hospital for 28 days. The hospital gets, the people say, oh, well, the hospitals get X amount per COVID patient. But the person's racked up like almost $1 million bill already. The hospitals only get reimbursed like $60,000 because it's a COVID patient. So the hospital's in the red on that one. So no, they're not making money off of COVID patients. Oh, it's just, but people have this weird mentality and these things get propagated on the internet and people are still believing it. And it's interesting. Everybody's so quick. And President Trump actually retweeted a video of a quack doctor saying that masks aren't necessary, and find out that this woman believed in sperm that could be possessed by the devil or some crazy, ridiculous thing. And, people listen to this president and they see that tweet he retweeted. Well, a doctor said that I can't even pronounce it, works, and that you don't need masks. There's no consistent messaging because we have a careless administration. Nobody gets on the same page and different messages are sent out. And unfortunately, he's got this cult that follows him who will go online and Google the most obscure conspiracy, ignoring the vast amount of science that is in agreement. They'll go find the one weird conspiracy outlier and that some unknown physician is promoting, because there's quacks in every field, and say, aha, I know the real truth. And this is again, and they think that their opinion is just as valid as that is backed up by science. Well, no, opinions aren't equally valid. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that doesn't mean that everybody's opinion is right. Or it carries the same weight. But this is the thing about American individualism and the shortcomings of it. The woeful lack of understanding of science. Maybe because I grew up in Mexico and my first formative years, I had a really good, solid education in Mexico. But I came to the United States basically to finish high school here. But even in high school, I learned, and then I went to college and I learned quite a bit about science. Do they not teach that anymore, or just people don't remember it or don't retain it? Because he sees comments from people that, I'm like, you're college educated, you get a master's, you should know better than promote this nonsense. But then also might be a thing is that I keep my education continuous, because for my job as an interpreter, not only do I have to stay current on language, but because I work in the hospitals and I work with CPS and I also do court, I have to stay up to date on medical terminology, new medical thoughts, things in the medical field, new medical practices, not thoughts, medical practices. And so I have to stay current. And I make a point of continuously reading and educating myself on medical terminology and what's going on in medicine. So I do read for my job, medical journals. But it's a continuous thing. So I can stay educated. And the same thing with law. I keep abreast of law stuff that's happening in law, especially with court and family law court, as well as I do a lot of workers' compensation. So I keep abreast of all of that. So, and then CPS too. So it's one of those things that you have to continuously learn if you're going to be a functioning adult. And it seems like people just don't bother anymore. But they will search the strangest thing and they can find on Google and promote it. And I see this a lot from the conservative right because they're so vocal about it. But I also see it on the liberal side too. Sometimes I'm just going, oh, come on. You got to consider the source. And then you have people that do not understand, like The Onion, which is, satire website. And some people think that those headlines are real, which goes to show you the lack of understanding. Or like RT News, Russian television news, RT News. It's a little bit of a compromised news source, Yes, sometimes they do report actual stuff, but sometimes they don't. They report propaganda stuff, but they present it as actual news. Or sometimes they mix the two. So it's, it's like Breitbart. You just can't trust the source because you never know what is true and what is not. So I don't use them as a backup to make my case because it's such a compromised news source. Anyway, I'm rambling, but yeah, this is my analysis of American individualism and the problem. And I think it applies even to dating. In my experience, somebody that everybody wanted me to pair up with this person. And we finally we'd met briefly, but we were being pushed to get together and meet. So it was arranged that I was to meet this person at dinner with the idea that we'd hit it off. And actually, I found the person very charming, very nice, and very funny. And at one point they left us alone so we could just chat amongst ourselves. And I commented, it's like, well, people really thought we should be together and get to know each other. And he looked at me and he said, yes, but I'm really hoping to date somebody in their late 20s. That's all I'm looking for. I'm looking at this man who's in his 50s like me, and I'm going, oh, dream on. What would a 20-something want with you? Oh, sugar daddy. That's it. That's not a proper relationship. I mean, that's what I was thinking to myself, but this is what he's holding out for. And not that he was that handsome or that gorgeous, I mean, I'm not an Adonis either, but it's like your expectations, you want, even if the age, but then even your looks. Why would a young, hot guy necessarily want to hook up with you if it weren't for money? Because that's what they're going to want. But he had this whole, that I know I will find that. This is a few years ago. Still single. I'm still single too, but his expectation of the only thing he would consider going out for dinner, even just for dinner, was if it was a young guy in his late 20s, he'd be willing to go up to like 32, and the guy was 54 or 55. Give me a break. But I'm going to get what I want because I know I'm right. I'm going to find that out there. Reality check, please. And that's how I feel like with a lot of Americans too. This individualism. I'm right. I'm going to do my thing and not really base it on reality. So have a good evening. I hope you enjoyed this rambling video of mine. Please like, subscribe, and check the notification bell if you want to be notified of every video that I post. And please wear your mask because this is going to help us and get us out of this trouble. And then if you watch this tonight, have a good evening or good night. And if you watch it during the day, good afternoon or good morning. Take care. Bye.